guys, it is your final habit. It is week 8 and your last habit is to get you moving. So this is going to be 5 mobility exercises, and I'm calling these no excuses mobility exercises because I'm going to show you a modification for every single one. So if you say, I don't have that type of flexibility, and believe me, you'll see places where my flexibility isn't so great. If you say, I can't do that, I can't get on my knees, I'm going to give you an option for everything. So these are 5 things. The idea is that you've got this for 5 minutes. You could do this when you wake up and get a little bit moving. You could do this after a workout, if you go for a walk, if you go for a run, if you go for a bike ride, a bicycle, or maybe even water aerobics. So we're going to start with focusing on your thoracic spine, a lot with your spine, your hips, and also your ankles. This is really the focus is mobility, and you're not going to see a whole bunch of flexibility. However, it will address, I believe, all parts of your body. And the other thing to think about is most of us, or many of us, spend a lot of time either on our phone or at a computer, and we are pulling forward, our shoulders are going forward, our knees are going forward, and we're getting a rounded back. So a lot of these exercises will be about opening up your chest, opening up your spine, and getting the flexibility that is getting super tight from all of this forward motion. So first one is going to be something we've all heard of. I don't think I'm doing anything new and super revolutionary, but that's not what this is about. It's about actually doing something. So this is on all fours. We've got our hands underneath our shoulders, knees underneath our hips, nice long spine. Simply cat-cow. What does that mean? This is your cat, is you're going to scoop in your belly around your spine, let that head fall in. Your cow, push that spine down without letting your belly hang out, and then here. So somebody asked me why this is called cow, and I always think this is moo. So we've got 7 to 8 repetitions. And just loosening up those spines, feeling that release through your shoulders, your head, your neck, your head. And just about 7 to 8 repetitions. You can go a little bit slower. You can take a moment, shake the head, really sink into this. Now, if you say, but Dawn, I can't get on my knees, whether it's because you've got knee replacements, your knees hurt, whatever it is, you can do this on a countertop. You could do this in your kitchen on a countertop. You could also just grab a chair, right? So like I said, this is your no excuses. The further away you are, the bigger stretch you're going to get. But we still want to keep your legs underneath your hips and sink down. This is the cat, and that's the cow. And maybe you want a slight bend in those knees. But really, this is something you can do maybe first thing in the morning, and you're waiting for your coffee, or you've got something in the microwave. You can just go ahead and do this on a countertop. You do not have to get on the floor to do cat-cow. Second exercise is known as the greatest stretch in the world. This one is definitely, it's going to help with hips, it's going to help with thoracic rotation. When we talk about thoracic spine, that is up here, right? Cervical, thoracic, and then lumbar. But thoracic is where we get really super tight. So I'm not showing you this because I'm superior at this. I'm showing this because I need it as well. So I'm going to show you a couple of different versions of this. You'll pick the one that works for you with the idea that perhaps you can reach some progression. So our starting position would be in a plank. The next step is to bring this leg forward, and it's going to be parallel with this hand. And then if you can, so for a lot of you, this, and for many people, this is enough. If you can, because you're already going to feel this into your lower, into your groin and through this hip flexor, is that you lower yourself to the ground. That's going to increase this stretch. And then you reach down with this elbow and then back up to the ceiling and down and up. I'm just going to do 5 on this side. And then I'll share some modifications, 4 and 5. And when I say it's the greatest stretch in the world, I kind of believe them, because it does get your groin, it gets your hip flexor, and it gets your spine. So other side, same thing. You're going to step forward. As you're able, you're going to lower yourself down on this elbow, woo, and definitely this is a huge stretch for me right now, and in, and open, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now let's say that that is just, you know, you're like, wow, Dawn, great job. I could never do that. And trust me, that was a huge stretch for me. Is you could be here with that knee up and do a similar idea, but don't come down to your elbow. You're still going to get plenty of work. So that's one modification, is do not come down on that elbow. Next modification would be to come down on this knee. And same motion, but we're shrinking the levers. We're making this smaller. Last modification is to do this on the stairs, meaning that you've got you just put one foot up on the step and here, and I'll show you what that might look like with your chair. So there's always a way to still address these muscle groups, to still work on that mobility, even if you can't do it like you see in the video. So here, we would just take it here, maybe one hand down here or one hand on the back of the chair. And same thing, you're gonna dip and open and dip and open. And I assure you, you will still get a big stretch. So, right, like I said, no excuses. So that is 1 and 2. The next stretch is called like a third world squat. Now, and this is really about your ankles. It's about opening up your hips and your ankles. And I will tell you, I am not that person who can just go into a deep squat. So what I'm gonna show this is a couple of modifications again. I've got my towel, it is folded and it's tripled up, okay? So it is going to give my ankles a little bit of a rest because I don't have great mobility through my ankles. Like I said, I am not superior on these, and I'm gonna show you how this works for me. I'm gonna put my heels on here, elevate my heels. I have my toes turned out because that's what works for me. I am not gonna be able to get really far in here. It opens up my hips a little bit. And then I wanna bend down. And if this is as far as I go, that's great. And just gently push on my knees and open that up. My butt is back, right? And my knees are open. We don't want to collapse your knees. If you can go a little bit deeper, that's great. If you can go deeper still, and maybe you're gonna hold this for 30 seconds. I personally need this towel. If you don't, that's okay. Now, if you say, wow, that's never gonna work for me, and I assure you over time that it will get better, then you can, again, use your chair or use a step. So maybe if it's just even one step, right? It doesn't have to be 3 steps. It doesn't have to be a chair. Whatever you do, if you're in a standing position, please make sure you have something to hold on to. But really this stretch is about your ankles and your hips. So you could even just put your foot on a low step. It could be 2 steps. It could be 3 steps. It could be a chair. Like I said, please make sure you have something to hold on to. And instead of bending both knees and dropping your hips down to the floor, we're just gonna get that mobility. We're still working through our ankles. We're still working through our hips. And you could just hold this here for about 30 seconds on that side. So like I said, this is no excuses. And then you would step on the other leg. What will probably happen with you is if you've been through a couple of decades of life, you'll find that one side is probably gonna feel squeakier. It's not gonna move as well as the other side. You wanna increase that stretch, you can always bend over. So you do not have to get on the floor, you do not have to get on your knees to make this effective. So we've done the cat-cow, we did the world's greatest stretch, we've done that third world squat, and now we're going to do something that addresses a little bit more mobility through our spine. And I'm gonna show this to you a couple of different ways. And I'll go ahead and use this. And the idea here is that you're near a wall. And I'm gonna use this actually to rest my knee. If you don't need it, don't use it. But I would rather you do something that makes you comfortable and you feel like you can do it really well. And then I don't have my body next to my wall. I have my shoulder next to the wall. My leg is straight out in front of me. If I need more stability, I can open that leg, but I want to keep my hips underneath me, hands are touching here, and you just do about 10 reps of this, and it's open. The idea, and as you can see, I can't quite get it, is to get to the wall and close. Now, I don't, you might. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, he showed an advanced version where you circle all the way back. That's not gonna happen for me, but there's a lot of different ways to open. And then change sides. And I will show this to you. If you say, yep, that's not gonna work, I can't be on my knees, guess what? You don't have to be. And here, same thing. We're close enough that our shoulder is on the wall, and we're next to the wall, we're not leaning into it, and open. Now, if you are at work or you've been sitting a long time, you don't have to get out of your chair. You could just do this in your chair in a modified version. But I assure you, your body will thank you for getting this opening feeling through your chest and through your spine. And like I said, this is our no excuses mobility routine. So let's say getting onto your knees is either not convenient or it's not a possibility. Again, all you do is get your chair, put the chair next to the wall, sit next to the wall, you've got your arm next to the wall, and same thing. And like I said, you could just be doing this even if you were in an office setting, and even if you don't have the wall for a little extra leverage, you can still do that. And then you would turn your chair around and do the other side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, cat-cow, world's greatest stretch, third world stretch. And then we've done that chest opener. The last one, I will show you a couple of modifications here. Again, this is about opening up your chest and getting some mobility through your thoracic spine. This gets really tight. And I'm gonna give you a couple of different modifications here. And this is arms on the wall. Now, because I don't have a ton of flexibility, I'm very tight chested. I've got my legs away from the wall. I have my hips on the wall. I have my shoulders on the wall. What I don't want is to be really arched, okay? I want to be as flat on that wall as I can. If you can, put your head on the wall. I know for sometimes that's really hard for some people, is to get that feeling of their head. It feels really awkward. You can always put a small pillow behind your head, and then you bring your arms up into these goalpost arms. And like I said, I'm not showing you this because I'm so good at it. I'm showing this to you because I need it. And then arms travel up, up, up. That's about as far as I can get comfortably, and come back down and lengthen. For me, this one's really challenging. If you have a lot of chest and shoulder mobility and you through your thoracic spine, this one will work a lot better for you. So that one is really difficult for me. So one way that you can also modify that is to let gravity do some work for you. And what that looks like is you would come down to the mat. And I highly recommend this, especially after a long day. And then I'll show you kind of what I do to rest my back and spine. So you come down here, same idea. When you're on the floor, what's happening is that you're not pushing against the wall. Gravity is drawing your arms back and opening your chest. And this might be enough. And this might be where you are. And then you slide your hands on the floor up and slide them back down. So for me, this one's a little bit more doable. I feel a little bit more successful because I've got gravity helping me open my chest, and I've got the ground supporting my back. So I would highly recommend this as a modification. So we have got 5 mobility exercises, no excuses, with modifications for each and every single one. And then I want to share with you guys what I do when my back feels tight, when my back gets fired up, especially my lower back. We talked about your cervical spine is up here, your lumbar spine is kind of where your bra strap is, and your lumbar spine is that lower back. And a lot of people have lower back pain. So, for example, yesterday I worked in an event, and my back was super tight. It felt like someone had just taken a wrench. So this is how I relax my back, and I highly recommend this for just about, I pretty much feel it's safe for everybody, is you find a bench or a chair, and this is it. You lay on your back, you relax your hips. I'm not working anything. I'm gonna let my hips relax. I'm gonna let my back melt into the mat. Couple of deep breaths. I'm gonna relax my legs. So I'm taking all the tension out of my hip flexors and taking the tension out of my spine. So my spine is actually in a neutral position. It's not carrying my weight. And honestly, you could just stay here for about 10 to 15 minutes. What usually happens during that time is you'll start to feel your back settle. You'll start to feel those muscles release, and you might end up taking a little snooze. But this is a great way to reset your back, to reset your body, and to get a new start. So that is your last habit, is 5 mobility exercises. It should take you about 5 minutes every single day. I would love to hear your feedback, which ones are working for you. If you want more, I promise you there's so much more. You can look on YouTube, we can find other things, but this is a great start that's gonna address your upper back. It's gonna address your hips and your ankles. That's all I got, thanks.